Hey everyone! Welcome back to Trivia Fusion, where today we're diving into the fascinating world of viruses and how they infect humans. Viruses are tiny but mighty, and they have some pretty sneaky ways of getting into our bodies and making us sick. Let's break down the process step by step using simple terms so everyone can understand. First things first, what exactly is a virus? A virus is a microscopic organism that's much smaller than bacteria. It's so tiny that you can't see it with a regular microscope. You need a super powerful one called an electron microscope. Unlike bacteria, viruses can't survive or reproduce on their own. They need to hijack the cells of a living organism, like a human, to multiply and spread. Let's start with how a virus gets into our bodies. Viruses can enter through various routes, such as our nose, mouth, or even through cuts in our skin. For example, when someone with a cold sneezes, tiny droplets containing the virus can be inhaled by another person. Once inside, the virus begins its mission to find a host cell to infect. Now, let's talk about the virus structure. A virus is made up of genetic material, either DNA or RNA, which contains the instructions for making more viruses. This genetic material is wrapped in a protein shell called a capsid. Some viruses also have an outer envelope made of lipids, fatty substances, that help them enter cells. Once the virus is inside our body, it looks for specific cells to infect. Different viruses target different types of cells. For example, the flu virus attacks cells in the respiratory tract, while the hepatitis virus targets liver cells. The virus uses proteins on its surface to attach to receptors on the surface of the host cell, kind of like a key fitting into a lock. After attaching to the host cell, the virus injects its genetic material into the cell. This is where the real trouble begins. The viral genetic material takes over the cell's machinery, basically turning the cell into a virus factory. Instead of doing its normal job, the cell starts producing viral proteins and assembling new viruses. As the host cell churns out more and more viruses, these new viruses are eventually released from the cell, either by bursting the cell open, which destroys the cell, or by budding off from the cell membrane. These new viruses go on to infect more cells, repeating the cycle and spreading the infection throughout the body. The body's immune system is always on the lookout for invaders like viruses. White blood cells, the soldiers of our immune system, spring into action to fight off the infection. They produce antibodies, which are special proteins that can recognize and neutralize viruses. Once an antibody binds to a virus, it can prevent the virus from infecting more cells and mark it for destruction by other immune cells. Sometimes, our immune system can't fight off a virus quickly enough, and that's when we start to feel sick. Symptoms like fever, cough, and fatigue are signs that our body is fighting the infection. In many cases, the immune system eventually wins the battle, and we recover. However, some viruses can be particularly dangerous or tricky to fight, leading to severe illness or chronic infection. Let's take a closer look at some well-known viruses and how they infect humans. The flu virus, for example, spreads through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. It targets cells in the respiratory tract, causing symptoms like fever, cough, and sore throat. The flu virus can mutate frequently, which is why we need a new flu vaccine every year. Another example is the HIV virus, which causes AIDS. HIV targets the immune system itself, specifically the CD4 cells, a type of white blood cell. By attacking the immune system, HIV makes it harder for the body to fight off other infections and diseases. HIV is spread through contact with infected blood, semen, or other bodily fluids. The coronavirus, which causes COVID-19, is another virus that has significantly impacted the world. It spreads primarily through respiratory droplets and can infect the respiratory tract and other parts of the body. The coronavirus uses a spike protein on its surface to attach to receptors on human cells, particularly those in the lungs. Vaccines are one of the most effective ways to prevent viral infections. A vaccine introduces a harmless part of the virus, like a protein or a weakened form of the virus, into the body. This helps the immune system learn to recognize and fight the real virus if it ever encounters it. Vaccination has successfully eradicated diseases like smallpox and has significantly reduced the incidence of others, like measles and polio. In summary, viruses are tiny invaders that need to infect living cells to reproduce. They enter our bodies through various routes, attach to specific cells, and hijack the cell's machinery to make more viruses. Our immune system works hard to fight off these invaders, But sometimes viruses can cause serious illness. Understanding how viruses work helps us develop vaccines and treatments to protect ourselves from these microscopic threats. If you found this deep dive into viruses interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of Trivia Fusion. Stay healthy, stay informed, and we'll see you next time for more amazing facts and thrilling explanations.